Hey, yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. It's been a little bit. It's been a while. How's everyone doing? Today, we're going to talk about the World Championships. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Lots of volleyball going on right now over in Thailand as the Women's World Championships are now underway. We're 4 days in, and I'll be honest, I've been very bored. I've been very bored. Now, part of it may be the fact that a lot of these matches start at 5 a.m., so I'm not necessarily in a peak time frame. However, it's been a slog to get through, to say the least. Very few compelling games so far. A few of them, like almost will get you going, but not quite much yet. So yeah, we'll kind of see how she goes as it continues. I'm honestly not that expectant that anything's going to get better in terms of not the quality of the tournament, just the quality of the play. But we'll break that down in a little bit. So far, 6 of the 8 pools already have 2 of their teams decided. 2 of the other pools have 1 of the teams, and then the other ones will be decided in the next couple of days. So far, the biggest upset that we've seen has been Argentina taking down the Czechs, and while they are potentially going to be heading to the next round, which would be big for the Argentinians, that's literally the only thing that we've seen. We've only seen a couple of really good games, and I think Pixie just put it in the chat to France and Brazil and Sweden versus Netherlands. Both of those games, I guess, the France and the Brazil game was not expected. France really came out hard, and then Brazil was Brazil. And then Sweden and the Netherlands, I guess we kind of expected that was going to be a bit of a banger too, given that pool. So today I'm just going to break down a bunch of the pools, kind of what they've been doing. This is going to be a really quick one because honestly, there's no drama to talk about except for Boskovic, and we'll get there. Yeah, for sure. Anna, RIP to the North American time zones. Like the latest matches in the day start at 8 or 9:30 for me. So it's just been messing up all of my productivity, because it's just messing up my schedule. Yeah, it's been all right, I guess. VNL teams have been absolutely dominating. Only 2 of the teams who were at the VNL have lost matches so far. One of them being Bulgaria, and they lost matches to Turkey and Canada. So 2 other VNL teams, and then the Czechs lost to Argentina. That's about it, as we expected. The teams who were added have not provided any value whatsoever, which was to be expected as well. Chem, I don't really want to go into Bulgaria's terrible blunder against Canada. Like that basically gave us the game. That basically gave us the game. So I don't really want to harp on it too much. I do really want to harp on how unwatchable VBTV has been, however. It's been really hard to watch. Like I straight up just went back to bed this morning. I like, it's really hard to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning to try to watch Canada versus Spain, and you can't get more than 30 seconds of viewing time. Like you can't watch an entire rally without VBTV crashing out or the screen going black, or it pausing, or having no audio, or only having in-court audio. It's really frustrating, and I know I'm not the only one looking at it. It has been really, well, actually, you know what? Let's pull this up. I saw a really good thread about it today on Reddit, and I mean, you guys know that everyone knows on Reddit, I'm very open about who I am. Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good is VBTV? Here, let's just look at some of these comments here on Reddit. It's terrible on Watcher. Either it just keeps stalls, or Setteringer just stalls at the loading screen. Yep, like pretty much. Let's see what else. Gave up trying to watch, going to ask for a refund. I suggest everyone does the same. Can we all ratings bomb the VBTV app? That is really tough, because VBTV has been such a stellar, like it's been so consistent, and at least you know that like maybe if the production isn't quite what we're looking for, maybe the commentary isn't quite there, it's always been stellar. So it's really hard to see it struggling as much as it is right now. So I really hope for everyone's sake, it gets better, because if this is bad, it's just bad for the sport, right? This is the way that the majority of people watch. And if it's unwatchable the way it is, it's just bad for absolutely everyone. Now, with no further ado, let's just jump into kind of what's been happening across the pools. Really, I'm not going to go into any stats right now. I don't think it's really necessary. Nothing has really been happening all that much. So looking at Pool A was definitely going to be the most intriguing, just because Thailand got the #1 seed for it, and obviously they're not a top team. And on top of that, you have Sweden. Now, Sweden, we've kind of expected to maybe be a little bit of a giant killer. Maybe come in, you have a top 5 player in the world in Isabel Haak. You have the other Haak sister as well, and kind of expected Sweden to come in and do well. And you know what? They put on a banger of a match against the Dutch on the first day, but then really came out flat. Really came out flat when it playing against Thailand. And obviously playing against the home team, Thailand is not that easy, but Thailand looking good. Thailand looking really confident. They love playing in front of their home crowd. I know we've seen them maybe struggle a little bit playing at home over the past few years in the VNL, but this time they've been looking really good. Pornpoon and Kachuan just really got that connection down nicely. So it's super. It's been super nice ball to watch. I am excited for the Thai versus Dutch matchup, because I do think that they both have really good setters with Van Allen and Pornpoon. So they both have really flowy offenses. So I think that's another thing that another match that should go to 5 tomorrow. Luckily, the next 2 days of the matches, we are going to see, I think, much better ball all around. Of the 32 matches that have happened so far, half of them have been 3-dongs, and the reality is that a lot more of them should have been. You got like Poland messing around, losing to sets like Vietnam and Kenya, and that's just because they're bored, right? That's what happens when you play teams who don't even play in the VNL. Obviously, Egypt is Egypt. Thank you very much for participating. Have a cookie on the way out. Next up in Pool B, much more of the same. Italy and Belgium absolutely dominating. No sets dropped so far. Slovakia, Cuba, not really much more to say about that. I mean, Italy absolutely slapped Cuba. Like it wasn't even close. Yeah, this is what happens in a 32 team tournament, right? 6 up, 6 down for both Italy and Belgium. I'm not expecting their matchup to be quite entertaining at all. And if it is, it's going to be because Italy's asleep and Belgium will win the first set. They'll be winning the second. Italy will make a comeback and win 3-1. That has been the blueprint so far of this World Championships. If a team is losing a set, it's because they just kind of fall asleep in the first or second, let a team in, and then they just dominate throughout. So really not much to say about Slovakia or Cuba right now. Yeah, it just is what it is. Moving down to a pool where there has been a little bit of intrigue, as France really came out nicely against Brazil. Was it last night or yesterday? Yesterday. And you know what? This French team has been getting better and better offensively. I think that they're really good. They have some really nice pieces, Cazot and Diaye, and they can really put on some good pressure. We'll just take a look at the box score really quick. Gabby, it was like Brazil really needed everyone in this one, just spreading that offense all around. Gabi with 18, Bergman with 17, Rosa Maria and Julia Kudis with 14th piece, and even Kissy getting a little bit in on the action for France. And then Cazot, in probably one of her best matches of the summer, drops 20, and Diaye with 18, and Ratard with 12. So really like I think Hazot's been having a really good summer, and I think it's just been a really good summer for France. And if you're looking at all of these like next level or kind of like next gen teams that are trying to get themselves into the VNL and be some of those, not a core team but a team that compete, looking at France, looking at the Czech Republic, looking at Belgium, even though Belgium's been in and out of it, France, I think of that group, has done the best so far. And they've really done well, and it's been it's been good to see from this group. They will have an opportunity to seal the deal, I do believe, tomorrow morning against Greece. So make sure to check that out. If they get the one win, they'll be able to seal the deal. And obviously Puerto Rico down here just struggling. Norseca, if it wasn't for Canada and the USA, would really be having a hard time here. Oh, I guess the Dominican Republic too. So it's kind of a half and half. Top 3 teams are pretty good with wins, and bottom 2 teams with, I guess, Puerto Rico and Mexico struggling just a little bit. Moving down to Pool D, where the Americans are. They've been able to remain perfect so far at 2-0. A nice little 3-1 win against Slovenia the other day, and the same thing against Argentina. This one I think is really, really interesting because Czechia did lose to Argentina. Now, tomorrow morning, or not, yeah, tomorrow morning basically is when this pool plays again. Argentina takes on Slovenia, and now that one can, like if Argentina wins, they move on. But Slovenia is a really, really good team, as we saw. Silla on the outside is really dynamic. She's got a really good arm, can take a good chuck at the ball, can go thumb down, can attack that block a little bit. So I'm going to be really interested to see that one. I think I'm actually going to pay way more attention tomorrow, because I think that Argentina-Slovenia match is going to be good. And then Czechia versus USA is also going to be really interesting because Czechia needs a win. They absolutely need a win here, at least in 5, right? Obviously in 3 or 1 is going to be different, and obviously the Americans aren't going to be there to give it. But Czechia did beat the US in the VNL this year, so maybe a little bit of revenge on the books for the United States. However, I do think that it's really difficult to beat a team twice in one summer, and that I think that the Czech team really started strong. You know, Brankuska was fantastic during the VNL. But now that teams know them a little bit more and have a little bit of film on them, I think people are starting to figure that out. Where this American team is continuing to grow and continuing to build, and they're still young. Oops, knocked over my mic. And there's still young players who are on this team who are still learning how to play the international game and learning how to be out there. So ultimately, I think the Americans are going to be able to take it, and I think Argentina is going to move on, even if they don't beat Slovenia tomorrow. Which might be the only pool where there's something like that happening. Other than that, it's going to be chalk all the way through. Except for Pool C, of course, because Puerto Rico, I think, was actually ranked higher than France and Greece because of Norseca stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I really care though. Puerto Rico, just not that interesting. They used to have some good things that they bring to the table, but just not recently, unfortunately. Now coming down to Pool E, where my Canada, we don't suck. We're actually pretty good. You know, a little sloppy at times, still most of the time, still having a little trouble closing things out. We got a big help against Bulgaria. You guys are pointing out in the chat. Yes, we're well aware. But ultimately, like, I think that Canada's been doing pretty good. I think Bulgaria is, honestly, I think even though Bulgaria is a VNL team, I think that Bulgarian match is almost easier because it's an opponent that we know, and it's an opponent that we've beat, but also it's an opponent that is very much in a similar spot as to Team Canada, right? They've got some young players all around the roster. They've got a new coach. They play a similar style to us. So that one, I'm really, really happy with the way the team played, with the way the team battled. Getting it in 4 is really rare for this team right now, with no Kira, no Bree, no Alexa. I mean, there's a whole bunch of others that are missing as well too. But I do think that, like, that Spain matchup, even though Spain is ranked 30th, Spain plays really fast, and they're a really skilled team. They may not have like the systems that Canada does, nor the coaching, but they play really fast and they're really skilled. And traditionally, that's a matchup that's not good for us, right? That's why the Korea matchup, you know, when we don't have our players, is actually a horrendous matchup because they're actually decently skilled and they can play pretty fast. But right now, Canada's been finding ways to score. I've thought Mitrovic has been outstanding the past few matches. Dolly was unreal in the match against Bulgaria. I think there's just some really, really good things happening right now with without Canada's top players. And, I do think that if I remember correctly, it was a 3-dong for Turkey in the VNL, but that was in week 2, just without Kira, just as things were getting a footing. And I do remember that we played pretty good, pushing them quite decently. So I think the matchup against Turkey on, I don't think it's tomorrow, right? No, it's not tomorrow. It's on Wednesday. I do think the matchup with Turkey should be a pretty entertaining one. They're perfect so far. But yeah, I think it should be entertaining. And ultimately, I think that I just didn't want to go over. I didn't want to get absolutely run out of town and get laughed at in the Discord, kind of like the men did back in 2022, losing in the first round. I would have been happy with 1 win, to be perfectly honest, but getting 2 in the way that they've done it has been really good. I really enjoy it, and at this point, the sky's the limit. We made it to the top 16. It's going to be a little bit difficult. We can look at the pathway of what each of these teams is looking for just in a little bit. But yeah, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with it overall. Yeah, we'll do a specific breakdown of Team Canada once the event is over. But overall, 2 wins. That's big, and that's a lot bigger than people think, even just for the morale of this program. Now, wrapping up with the next couple of pools, Dominican and China sitting at the top of Pool F. China sitting in that Pan Am gauntlet right now. I actually think that final matchup between China and Dominican is going to be pretty interesting because you have 2 teams who play very differently. One plays with speed and structure and technique, and the other one plays with just pure athleticism and physicality. And yeah, I think it's going to be really good. I think Mexico actually, if anyone watched that beginning of the China and Mexico game, it was one of the few games that was actually intriguing for a set and a half. Mexico really came at them strong for some reason. China started Li Yingying, even though it's clear that she's not ready. And yeah, they did really, really well. Maldonado came at them really fast. Samantha Bricio, I know she's a name that we don't hear as much, but man, the USC alum can really still bring some heat. And you could tell they knocked China off their kilter, but China in the second brought in Wu Mingjie and just changed it all around. And then we're absolutely trouncing them in the third and the third and the fourth. So I actually think that the China Dominican match, I believe it's tomorrow. We'll check that in a second. Is going to be a really good one to watch. I think it should be pretty entertaining. 2 teams who are more or less kind of in the same area in the world. Pool G, once again, 2 teams absolutely dominating. Germany just going to work as we expected. Business trip for them. 6-0 in sets so far. Nothing to it. Poland. Of course, they're Poland. They're going to want to screw around a little bit, dropping sets to Vietnam and Kenya. That being one of the big upsets so far is Kenya and Vietnam winning sets. Just kind of shows how dull this World Championships has been. Yeah, Poland, Germany. I think that could be a matchup to be very, very interesting because Germany, I feel like Germany is a team that could actually take Poland. Right? They can play with them physically. They're really strong. They're underrated strong down the middle. They've got some really good wings. They've got a really underrated setter in Pia Kostner. I just think that Germany plays the right way and they could really, really push Poland. And then whoever loses that game gets to get knocked out by Italy first, and then the winner gets to get knocked out by Italy second. So that will be a lot of fun too, whoever gets out of Pool G. And then finally Pool H, where we've actually had a little bit of drama. First and foremost, Japan trying to get a little bit of rest for Yoshino and Wada, who are a bit banged up, going to 5, going the distance with Ukraine, having to put them back in and pull off the reverse sweep. But more importantly, Serbia, down goes Tijana Boskovic. And this can't be understated enough that this is going to dictate the rest of the tournament. If she is really and truly out, and by the looks of it, her ankle is not pretty, and she did get carted off the court, and we did not see her return after her second set injury. If she was truly out, that Serbia has no chance, right? Without her, they were maybe the worst team in the VNL this year. Bukulic is not the answer. Mirkovic and Bukulic is not the answer, and it doesn't matter if you have Uzelac on the outside. I do think, like, some people were suggesting maybe bring in Dangubic and put Uzelac the opposite. I don't necessarily hate that. Pia's not playing. My bad. I apologize. To be honest, I haven't watched a second of Germany. I don't think there is a reason to watch them play Vietnam and Kenya at 5 a.m. in the morning. But yeah, I think that this injury to Tijana Boskovic is era defining. This is a team that was looking to go three straight, to be only the third team in the history of women's volleyball to be able to do that, to be able to be, knotted down in the Hall of Fame of volleyball as one of the best teams ever. But I don't think that they're going to be able to do it. Like, I have no faith that they'll win another match, truly, without Tijana Boskovic. This Serbia team is really, really shallow, really, really shallow. And without her, it's done. I don't think Serbia without Tijana is as good as Kenya, because they did beat Cameroon. I think they even, like, their biggest set was the third set where they was like 25-12 or something, like 25-14 or some shit. So let's not do it. But yeah, I would say without Boskovic, it's almost a guaranteed Japan-Turkey semifinal. Depending, I think the USA could be a bit of a dark horse there, depending what Turkey can come. But once again, we'll talk about that. Actually, no, we'll talk about that right now. We'll talk about this. So I've talked about it. I talked a little bit in my preview about how lazy this tournament was. And now in the past, what we did for volleyball is that there was pools of 6, because it was it was a 24 team tournament, and they did 4 pools of 6. So you played 5 matches, which I thought was a little bit better. And then the top teams repooled into there's 4 teams that repooled into the next pools. What the issue was, and always has been, and then we continue to have, is that there's no crossover within the tournament. So if you're looking at what we have out here right now, you can see that, like, it doesn't matter. Like, Japan and Serbia, who are in Pool H, are going to cross over with Pool A, and they're going to play each other again, right? It doesn't matter that Brazil and Italy are on the same side. Like, they are guaranteed to match up in the semis. The format of this tournament is just so damn lazy. And it's really, really frustrating. It really is. It's frustrating to me that we've added 8 more teams to this tournament, and we've taken away matches, right? Some teams are only going to get 3 matches. So, like, if you look at a team like Cameroon, they're in a pool with three VNL teams. I just don't understand right now how this is a good product for anyone to watch. I'm having to convince myself to wake up and watch games, because I'm just not compelled at the moment. I don't know. Maybe other people are feeling different. Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, truly, the way that they set this up was like, Chat GPT, make us a tournament. And no one looked into it past that. Like, it's so basic. And it just allows, like not to mention, on one side of the bracket, you have Italy, you have Brazil, you have Poland, and you have China. And the other side of the bracket is like Turkey, Japan, USA, and Turkey, Japan, USA, not even Poland. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been it's been all right. I'm really hoping. I guess also maybe I'm a little bit bitter because I'm going camping, so I'm missing like all of the quarterfinals. I'm missing the quarterfinals to the finals, so I'm missing the only good matches of the tournament, and that does suck. But We did complain. Yeah, we did complain about the format before, but I liked the length of the tournament and I liked how many games your teams played. I know that sucks for the players, but what I didn't like is the bringing over of the scores and then also how teams matched up. But we can see what's up now. Let's look at, go back over here. We're gonna look at some of the matches that are going to be coming up in the next 2 days. First and foremost, I think that Argentina-Slovenia match. Yeah, I honestly, like, I'd kind of like to see it almost, and maybe this is a lot of matches, but I just kind of want to see bigger pools. I think that's the big issue of it for me. I think that just it's a really short tournament for World Championships. We're kind of just blazing right through it. You know, in FIFA, like FIFA is another comparable tournament that does it in this way. However, you're only playing like a few matches a day, like max 4 matches a day. Whereas in volleyball, like this match, we're really blowing through this tournament. And I've always thought that in volleyball, less is more, but this is not. This is too short of a tournament. So what I would love to see is like a pool, delete some of the teams, repool, and then that's going to rank you into like a 16 team draw, or even an 18 draw, or even a 12 team draw. But just make it make sense. Make teams cross over. It's so frustrating how year after year after year you have to watch teams replay each other at the World Championships, whereas there's an entire other side of the bracket that really hasn't been, really doesn't get touched. It's like we create these silos, and it's like these teams can't play these teams, and yet it would make sense if the tournament was kind of everywhere, but it's not. It's in one city, and what is it? Like if we go back to this, anything past, like everything past the pool phase, the group stage, just goes back to Bangkok, right? Everything past that. So you can't even make the argument. It's like, well, we need to keep people all over the place. So, yeah, that's just how I feel about it. I think it's just classic volleyball, just absolutely classic volleyball. Is there anything else that people want to talk about? Somebody was talking about Schmreck and asking me if I'm satisfied with her play. And like, to be honest, it's like on what side? Like on face value, like, no, does she stack up to what we had hoped she would be and what she expected her to be? Probably not. But at the same time, at the same time, like we need to give her that grace and that time to get better. From everything I've heard, and like we've seen the progression as well, but it's going to take some time for her to get used to playing at this level, right? I think this year there's a stark, unless you're an international coming from the outside, like a Julia Bergman type, or maybe like a Magdalena Yalarova, Nina Kacic, the NCAA style of play is really tough to learn. They all like to run it really, really fast. And like Schmreck has played 4 years at Wisconsin, where she's used to getting balls set as fast as possible to her. And I just don't think there's that much of a focus on actually teaching the game properly. It's just about winning at the NCAA level. So I just think that we need to be realistic about what she is and who she is at this moment. And now I do have full confidence that she's going to be able to continue improving. Like, she does seem to be a sponge. Like we've seen it so far, but it's going to take some time. And the reality is that it wasn't necessarily fair that she had to step in. Like, she was never supposed to be taking this many reps. She was never supposed to be this player. Like, we don't need her to be, especially with Kira, but she's had to be. And that's probably better in the long run, but it does create some growing pains right now. So, yeah. I think that's that's my feelings on Schmeck. Yeah, less games to the response to the players being overexploited. Yeah, sure, but then like, why are we moving the World Championships to every 2 years? Why do we have a VNL every year? Like, taking away a couple games at the World Championships doesn't really do much against the overexploitation and overworking of these athletes. It's taking away the events in its entirety. You know, why are we making everything so important? Everything has to be weighted. So for me, that's part of the thing. Kenny, no, Anna wasn't playing middle. She did at the beginning, and then she moved to the outside, to the opposite position. Okay. Yeah, she was in Milan last season. I think she's going somewhere to Turkey this year. Let's see. Schmreck. Aras. So, yeah, she's going to go somewhere where she's going to get a lot of volume once again, and she's going to have to learn really, really fast. But, like, I just want to make it clear when talking about Anna Schmreck that, like, you know, the expectations of her coming into the season in like May are not the same as now, as they are now. You know, we're a little bit more realistic, and to be honest, like she hasn't been dominant, but she hasn't been terrible. Like, she knows how to play the game, like she knows how to fit into the system, and once she figures herself out physically a little bit more, and like, I think the international game is going to play to her strengths a little bit more once she learns how to hit at her height and she's not trying to rush everything. Things are going to get a little bit better. If Canada had all of its starters, they might be able to beat the US. The coaching would be a big difference. The coaching would be a big difference if we had Alexa, and like, the reality is that without Alexa and Brie and Kira, we went to 5 with basically this American team. Like, they added one more player in Chiako Bogu. So like, I don't really see that making as a huge impact there. So like, I don't think it's like, would we be the favorites? No. Could we beat the US? Yes. And I do think so. Like, I think Alexa and Kira and Brie are probably better than, you know, like, Alexa can score better. Like, Alexa could probably start for that team right now. Kira could absolutely start for that team, and I think Brie would start for that team too. Other than that, though, they cook us everywhere. But yeah, if we had our full team, I think it would be a really fun matchup with the US, but we don't. So yeah, that's how it is on that. Anything else? Any other questions, guys? If not, I will see y'all later. Hope you enjoyed this. Yes, unfortunately, I am missing out on the round of 16 and the quarters. Not the round of 16, but the quarters properly. I am heading out. I may catch a couple of those games as we're driving in the morning, because we're going to be leaving pretty early on the 3rd. But yeah, I mean, like, this year hasn't been the easiest of years, especially when it comes to volleyball stuff. And yeah, my friends had this camping trip planned for us. I wasn't really paying attention to the dates when they booked it, and then I saw it afterwards. And at first I was going to skip this camping trip, but then I was just like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go camping. Kind of need it for my mental health to get out there and get away from everything. It sucks that it's during that time. I would have loved that it was during this time. You know, I got to miss all the boring matches and just watch the good ones. But hopefully this means that I'll be, you know, rejuvenated for once it comes time for the men in October. Or not in October, but later on in September. Cool. Yeah. Hope you guys are all great. I love you all, and I will see you next time. Peace.